Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So hopefully you are able to update the newest update in the App Store or Google Play Store, update 2.10.200, and in it you'll find a couple of new banners, AS Kikyo, aka Another Style Transporter. There's also a couple of other banners for new players to the game, and again, if you are new to Another Eden, welcome. I hope a lot of you are here from the Chrono Cross collaboration, aka the Symphony, and hopefully you have already gotten a chance to start it. For myself, I just did finish a live stream where I did finish chapters 1 and 2 on Master difficulty, and let me tell you, no joke at all. Feel free to check it out and see some of those boss fights if you want to look at it. Now that being said, in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we'll cover the 3 banners that are available as of tonight's update. First of all, AS Kikyo is probably the one that a lot of people, either mostly those who are already familiar with the game, are waiting for. However, I know a lot of you who are new to the game are wondering, hey, should I summon on this banner? What should I do? What kind of units should I aim for? So first off, AS Kikyo is called Another Style Kikyo because there's what they call a normal style Kikyo as well. That one is an older unit, has a different type of moveset, but essentially carries the same type of weapon, same type of element, and this is a new version of it, another skin, shall you say. Now, the moves are different, and a lot of times the AS version is more powerful than the regular version, only because it's newer, and let's be honest, the devs need to keep things exciting by having newer units being more and more powerful than the previous one. So just as a general note, to go over her basic moves and so on and so forth, she is an extremely powerful wind slash unit. She does use Axe. And one of her interesting things from her normal style is that she can create a clone of herself. The clone acts as a double. When she attacks, the clone also attacks. The downside is the clone cannot get any buffs or debuffs, cannot be the target of those benefits. And if Kikyo is targeted and hit, the clone disappears, but Kikyo is left unharmed as long as there's only one single hit. If Kikyo gets targeted with 2 hits, the first one removes the clone, the second one will hit her in both her normal style as well as her AS form. Now that being said, the AS form is extremely powerful. She has something that can be used to essentially power up herself, and what she does is she can activate a move called Overdrive, which is essentially very similar to, essentially the same as Lunatic, where it is extremely powerful in that sense. Not only that, she can increase crit damage for all party members by, I think, up to 70%. She can decrease slash resistance by a similar amount, and her DPS is through the roof. I mean, there are other things you can talk about, but for the most part, that is what we're looking for Kikyo. Now, the question is, should you summon? Now, first off, if you're relatively new to the game, all the newer units, especially if you're summoning them in any current banner, so I believe the current banners are Pizzuka / AS Nagi. This one, there's a couple of other ones that are featured. I wouldn't recommend summoning those Black Friday ones at this point, unless you really want a varied team. Kikyo is a top tier wind DPS at this stage of the game. She probably can do a lot more damage than current wind DPS, and not only that, slash is a very prominent type of weapon, and zones actually power up, which I could explain this in later on, but there are zones where slash weapons do more damage. Also, there's wind zone where wind units do more damage. She'll do very, very well in both, and because she can boost the power in terms of the crit damage as well as the slash resistance debuff on the enemies, she'll allow all your slash or wind units to do a lot more damage. Now, the only real problem is this. First of all, if you have one form of Kikyo already, either because you've played the game for a while or you've lucked into it nice and early, if you're a free-to-play or light spender, I do not recommend you summoning on this banner if you have any form of Kikyo. The reason why is, as you play and progress through the game, there will come a point where you'll go into dungeons and farm for materials called chants as well as treatises, chant scripts and treatises. And those can be eventually used to upgrade your normal version of Kikyo, whether or not it's a 4.5 star or a 5 star to the AS. And so if you are trying to play on a budget, that is the way to go. Now, if you don't have any form of Kikyo, your real question becomes, do you need a slash DPS or a win slash DPS? If you do, she will fit very nicely on your roster. Now, one last thing to note is that as powerful as she is, as incredibly supportive as she is, most DPS frontline units, they do get power crept over time. For example, in a little bit, we will now have the true manifest of Suzette, and I think she'll become the queen of wind DPS again. And so as much as Kikyo is extremely powerful now, I'm not sure she could be, she couldn't be substituted over the next few months. And let's be honest, if you've already kept up with content and you can beat most things with your existing roster, I'm not sure that Kikyo would be a significant add at this point. Although, to be fair, future teams may require such high levels of DPS. And so, you know, you can consider that. But in general, I mean, you're not wrong for summoning on Kikyo. She is extremely powerful. I think she'll do very well on both wind and slash teams. So as long as you do have some spare stones, you can go ahead and go for it. But what I'm saying is that I don't think she's a must-have unit, because that's usually what people are asking, especially if you're relatively new to the game. Is she a must-have? No. Will she do very well on your team? Yeah, extremely so. Keep in mind that we still are a few months behind Japan, and we can actually see some of the units in the future, in which case I would argue some of the future units are even more useful than Kikyo if you can survive without having her. So again, to summarize, if you are missing a lot of wind DPS or slash DPS and you want someone to really power up your team, you can definitely add Kikyo. Not to mention she's sweet looking and cool. If you have any form of Kikyo, grind it out and wait the 3 to 6 months it takes to get those materials. If you're new to the game, really no problem in summoning for this, although there could be other banners coming up. Just in case you're wondering, there is a 0.4 of the 4.5 version, 0.8 for the 5-star normal, as well as for the AES version. And keep in mind that for those who are hunting that Mermaid Girl Pizzica, she is not available in this banner. Most free banners only have units up to the 2 banners before this, and so you will not be able to get every single unit in this banner, although as time comes out you'll only be behind by 2. Obviously there's a Fateful for that as well. Where is it? Here it is. No, here. So there is a Fateful for those who are willing to spend paid stones. This is not free to play. You do need to spend money on the game. It gives you a flat 10% chance of the featured unit, which in the case is AS Kikyo. You also do have the chance of getting, unfortunately, you know, some really bad units. The 3-star, what we call Rainbow Sisters, bots, and knights. They are absolutely useless. They are banner fillers, which is unfortunate. And there are some 4 stars and other 4.5 and 5 stars. Now remember that Fatefuls guarantee 1 5-star when you do summon it. So if you're willing to spend money, it will give you a 5-star guaranteed. Only 10% chance of getting AS on the 10th pull. Otherwise, pulls 1 to 9 will have the standard rate up, which is 0.8 and 0.8 respectively. If you are willing to spend money on the game and you don't mind gambling for a 1 in 10 chance to get Kikyo AS, go ahead and do that based on the criteria we set out before. And again, even if you miss, you will get a guaranteed 5-star for your troubles. Okay, last thing. There is a seasoned Fateful for people who want to spend money as well. Note that this one is quite good in one sense that it guarantees one of these 5 units on the 10th pull, not to mention you can hit other 5 stars along the way. So it guarantees Rosetta, Radius, Dunerith, Shani, and Thilily. Keep in mind, these are the regular versions of the unit. And you can summon this twice. It does cost 1,000 paid stones each. I'll quickly go over these 5 units because for people who are veterans of the game, they already know what's up. For people who are new to the game, maybe not so much. Radius is So still the premier slash zone setter, very defensive in nature, can tank hits, can shield out your team, can establish slash zone, which means all your slash units can do a lot more damage. I do have a 5-star review of most of these units. You can check them out on my playlist if you want further information on the power of these units. Shani is pretty power crept, although she's still useful as a water slash support in some sense. Dunarith is a pretty decent healer, but again, his main benefit is he can side grade to the AS version. Rosetta, same thing. Normal style version has some benefits, but again, the AS version is much better. And finally, Phililily is Phililily. She can do a ton of damage as a single target DPS. She has Lunatic, which basically increases her damage to catastrophic levels, and she can side grade to the AS version, which can do even more damage. If you are missing more than half of these units, and I don't count Shani as really, really good, but if you're missing a lot of these units and you really want to add one to your team, not a bad summon for 1,000 paid stones. No, because you know what you're getting. However, keep in mind, you're not getting the AS version. You will have to grind out the chants or treatises to side grade them to the more powerful version if you want these units. And so if you're missing it for your roster and you want to side grade them eventually, you can do so. You probably have some of those treatises. If you don't, wait for better banners. Finally, for new players to the game, and there are a lot of you, I'm sure, these two banners are perfect for you. And let me tell you why. First of all, as you play through the game, you've already gotten 2,000 free stones, 1,000 for the Symphony start, 1,000 for starting the game. You'll also get tons and tons of stones as you play through the game until you get to the very, very end of the end game where it slows down a lot. Banners like this are extremely rare, where they guarantee a unit that's a 4-star that can be upgraded to a 5-star. So this one is these 5 units: Suzette, Xion, Mario, Mighty, and Tuva. These are actually the very first 5 of 6 units that were released in the game back in the day before a whole bunch of new units have been released. Keep in mind that no matter what, on the 10th pull, you have a 97% chance, well, 96.4% chance of hitting a 4.5 of one of those featured units, and a 3.6% chance of getting one of those featured units as a 5-star. So for most new players to game, you have a very limited roster, don't have too many units, and really lacking in a lot of power. This will get you started. You do have a standard chance of 3.6% for a 5-star, and that's pretty standard across all banners, so you know. Now the 4.5 is not. Usually, the chance of a 4.5 upgradable unit is somewhere in the 10% range over a 10 pull. But this one is a 96% chance, and so you're guaranteed one. Not only that, if you're wondering about power creep, Suzette is still top tier, and she'll become even more top tier once we get caught up to Japan. Xion, unfortunately, not really, really good at this point, although, again, with upgrades in Japan, not terrible. Meryl is still a very, very, very good healer. I still use her, so she has been power crept, but still very, very useful. Mighty and Tuva, not much to mention. That being said, as a new player, you'll have thousands of stones that you grind up for. I would recommend summoning on that banner. Same with this. Same thing. 3.6% chance of a 5-star, 96.4% chance of a 4.5. Not to mention, you can get actually more than one. That's one thing I didn't mention about other banners. You don't always get limited to just one 5-star. You can hit 2, 3 if you're really lucky. And same with 4.5s. You can hit more than one, and when I say 4.5, I mean 4 stars that can be upgradable to 5 stars. So when you look at the unit, if it has a shaded 5th star, that's something that can be upgraded. If it has no shaded 5th star, you're stuck at a 4-star, and those units are capped out and not very powerful at this point in the game. Now, I'll spend, again, quickly on these 5 units: Nagi, Annabelle, Yuna, Iska, and Yuan. These are all the basic units. All have some use, but they've been power crept. However, again, you're new to the game. You don't have any units that can be upgraded yet. This one guarantees one of these units that can be eventually upgraded, which will take a few months, and you're still playing through the game, hopefully, at that time. They all can be side graded into much more powerful forms. And significantly, Yuan is side upgradable to AS Yuan, still current meta if you use AS Yuan. Iska can be side graded to AS Iska, which is also considered meta for certain types of wind teams. Not only that, in Japan, she has 2 new versions, both of which are accessible as free-to-plays if you decide to grind out the materials once they get released for global from Japan. So she is very viable as a 4.5. Remember, if you get a 4.5 of her, you will unlock all of those variations as long as you grind out the materials. And Nagi has an ES version, extra style version, that is coming to global within a couple of weeks. So again, if you're playing through the game, having this banner and getting one of those units, you will side grade those eventually and have them added to your roster. Because one of the things I mentioned as a free to play, and you can catch one of my most popular videos, which is talking about the reality of a free to play. You can get a 4.5 upgradable version, farm out the materials, and you can have a completely new powerful roster. So for both anyone who's new to the game or relatively new to the game and missing some of these units, summon on this one and this one. No questions asked. You're guaranteed an upgradable unit. I can't really say too much about it. So anyways, let me know in the comments below if you're planning to summon for any of these banners, how you did, and hopefully you do get a bunch of great luck on your summons. I did mention this yesterday, but as a result of myself having a normal style Kikyo and being free to play, I will grind out the materials for AS Kikyo and will not be summoning on this banner. One of the tenets of free to play is saving your stones for banners you do not have any unit version of, so that you can unlock new content as opposed to having the unit and slowly grinding the material. So I know that's a lot of information for those who are new to the game. Definitely check out some of my other videos if you want some explanation of some of the terms I'm using when I explain that. So, anyways, that's it for tonight. And hopefully I'll create more videos over the next few days and finish up the symphony. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.